In today's video, I'll be sharing what the Six Flags parks are adding in 2026. Hello coaster lovers, so about a few days ago, we got news out of the Six Flags Corporation. They released a press release saying over $1 billion is being spent on the parks in 2025 and 2026, which is just insane. So we know what parks are getting new things this year. I'll highlight those before diving into the 2026 editions. So we got a couple parks to go through, and this sadly does not contain these parks. So let's hop into the first park, Six Flags Great Adventure. So next year in 2025, they are adding the delayed Flash Vertical Velocity, the first super boomerang in America. But in 2026, they said they were going to be adding a record-breaking launch coaster. So if you have seen my video on what is going to replace King to Ka, that pretty much rules out all the coasters that I predicted, besides one, which is of a Coma family coaster like Big Bear over at Dollywood. Maybe something like Big Bear isn't the top priority for Great Adventure, but there are other launch coasters they can benefit from, and I actually think it's going to be a mock tower coaster. It could reach up to 400 feet, and even though the ride looks dumb, it would be cool seeing another 400-foot coaster at the park. Now let's move on to Six Flags Mexico. For Six Flags Mexico, the press said they are getting a family thrill boomerang coaster, so maybe something like Snoopy Soapbox Racers here at Six Flags Mexico, but it's kind of a slap in the face because they were originally planning for a tilt coaster, which is now known as Siren's Curse at Cedar Point. Or is it something like the Flash of Great Adventure? That ride isn't really family thrill, so my guess says they're going for a family boomerang. Great that they're getting another coaster, but it's a clone, and the last original coaster was Superman in 2004. I do feel bad for the enthusiasts down in Mexico, but I feel great for the enthusiasts over in Dallas, because Six Flags over Texas is one of the parks that's in the press release. They said they're getting a B&M dive coaster. This has to be the 300-foot dive coaster, like the ones in the surveys a while back. And this also has to replace Lava Bora. That ride recently closed, so it's pretty much a no-brainer option of where it's going to be placed. And it would be the tallest coaster in the state of Texas, and that's bigger than Titan, which is just insane. And it would be the first thing you see as you park your car. It would stand out in the skyline of the park. I actually love this addition for over Texas. Hopefully it will be something like Yukon Striker or Valraven. Going from Dallas over to LA, Magic Mountain is in the press release too. They said Magic Mountain is getting a first-of-its-kind coaster in America. My first thought was an Axis coaster. That would be so cool on where the Golden Bear Theater was, and we haven't seen anything much happen to the destruction of the theater. It just went quiet and nobody noticed. Hopefully it will resume sooner than later and add something really unique in this plot. And there is a lot of options, but an Axis coaster would work wonderfully here. Imagine your misses near the ground and terrain. That would be really cool. Now let's move on to the Cedar Fair parks. Let's start off with Carowinds. We all know next year in 2025, they are getting a clone of Snoopy's Racing Railway over at Canada's Wonderland, but the year after that, in 2026, this is one of the more vague ones. They said Carowinds is getting a record-breaking water ride. Maybe it's a ride like Speed at Energylandia, which is shown on screen, or it could be a water coaster. But anyway, a water ride is Carowinds' biggest gap in the ride collection. If you want to ride a water ride inside the dry park, you pretty much have to go into Carolina Harbor, which is their water park, and in the surveys, one of the options is the Super Flume, and I would love to see that here at Carowinds. It's way more marketable and cooler than a water coaster, so seeing another water ride being added to Carowinds is great. And speaking of water rides, Canada's Wonderland is up next, and the press release says that Canada's Wonderland is also getting a water attraction, and it's also kind of vague just like Carowinds. So is it a water coaster, a log flume, or a water roller coaster? It's also great to see another water ride getting built into Canada's Wonderland, but as a type of water ride, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Up next is my home park at heart, Kings Island. Next year in 2025, they're adding a set of water coasters called River Racers. But next year, they said Kings Island is getting a family thrill attraction. The first thing I said when I saw this was, why? They opened Snoopy Soapbox Racers this year in 2024, so it doesn't make a lot of sense to add another family thrill attraction, and I hope to God it's not going in the Vortex plot. I would love the area to get a mock extreme spinner or a tilt coaster. Just add a ton of inversions, and bam, another standout coaster for Kings Island, and it pays homage to Vortex. But that's all the parks. So I want to hear from you guys. Is your home park on here? And are you glad they are getting what the press release says? And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you like my content, consider to subscribe to the channel. There will be a new video coming out in the next 5 days. So make sure to keep that adrenaline pumping, and thanks for watching.